Welcome back to Fitness Manifesto. I am one of your hosts, Kim, and joining me is
Justin. Welcome to this new show that we've started, which focuses on life, awesomeness, friendship, and fitness as a whole.
But Justin, I have to tell you, it was very incredibly rude of us. We didn't even introduce Matt to any of our audience.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we just dove right in and started talking.
Well, it's never too late. And the best part about editing is, Blake, you can add this in the beginning now.
Yes.
Exactly.
I didn't even notice it, I'll be honest. Kim, that was very insightful because I didn't even know we did it.
You want to introduce Matt?
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Matt Odie. His story is incredible, and
we're excited to have him. And more importantly, I think you're going to get a lot out of this episode because anyone, even if you haven't suffered from any of these traumas, we all have a trauma. Okay, you're a human being. It doesn't matter whether you grew up on Beverly Hills or you grew up in South Central. We all go through the human experience or some sort of trauma there. It's a great lesson in overcoming obstacles, enjoying life, embracing it, and not getting in the way of your own success. So listen, enjoy the episode.
Also seeing the other side of it. You may have a loved one that is going through these type of things. You get to see it from the other perspective now. You get to listen to somebody who lived it, everything that he had to fight through. So you get to see it through somebody else's eyes.
Well, Matt, you come to us today we're obviously wearing shorts. We're both outside. You can't tell because of our background, but you were in a colder climate today. And I think some people here would be envious of that. So tell everyone where you're from today.
So I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, it is sunny. Haven't seen a cloud today, so that's good news. But it's about 35 degrees is the high today.
So, dude, welcome to the Fitness Manifesto.
Thank you.
We are so happy to have you on. We are so glad that you reached out to us. And honestly, I cannot wait for you to tell your story. It is so powerful.
It's pretty exciting. And it was funny because your bio, I think, almost downplayed it. So I can't wait to hear more about it. With that, I guess the first question is going to be just out of the gate. Tell us about yourself.
Right now, currently, I am a wellness director and I'm also a personal trainer. So how it works is as a wellness director, I work for a company with roughly 400 employees. And my whole objective for that company is to create a healthy and fun atmosphere. So what we do is we actually offer 20 hours, of free personal training. So the cool thing is I got to build a 3,000 square foot gym at the company. We offer free personal training to our employees. We do what's called corporate challenges, which, for example, could be like a step challenge, or it can just be like a checklist challenge to keep people accountable for their health and fitness goals. We do monthly wellness events where we bring on nutritionists, or we'll bring on like a meditation. We just had a sound healing lady that came last month, which was absolutely incredible. We do health fairs where we bring on just different people locally to create a healthy atmosphere. And lastly, we do like screenings and things like that. So biometric screenings, which is kind of like your cholesterol, checking your blood pressure, just things like that to make sure that you are still living a healthy lifestyle. So that's just a little bit of what I do currently. And then on top of that, with me going through my entire journey with cancer, so I'm also a stage 3C testicular cancer survivor, which I'll share my story here. I've used my lessons, my tools, and everything that I've learned to also start my own business where I am doing motivational speaking. And on top of that, I'm also helping other cancer survivors and other individuals who've gone through challenging moments in their lives that are looking to rebuild themselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. Because what I found is after going through traumatic experiences in life, the hardest part is usually the recovery. Where do I go next? Because a lot of us, a lot of the times feel like I have a second chance in life. I have a bigger purpose. You don't have to go through cancer to realize this. Just something challenging in your life or some traumatic experience in your life, you realize that life is precious, your time is precious, and where do I go next? And I think the number one thing to help you figure that out is getting clear with your mind and taking care of your body so that you have the energy, so that you have the mental clarity to know where you want to go next. So that's kind of a little bit about myself and what I do.
So real quick, just because I don't know much about...
That was a lot of things.
Yes.
That was a lot of things.
That was a lot of things. Let's take a step back for a second here because I don't know much about like the rankings. You always hear like stage 4, all that kind of stuff. But what does stage 3C mean? What does that mean?
So look at it as stage 4. So in testicular cancer, every cancer, to break this down as simple as possible, has their own stages and everything. So testicular cancer, technically, from what my oncologist told me, does not have a stage 4. What it has is you go stage 1A, B, and C, stage 2A, B, and C, and then stage 3A, B, and C. So I had basically stage 4, the highest stage of testicular cancer. And how this all happened, which if you want me to jump right into it, I can kind of share how it happened. So
Please.
I was 24 years old, so I'm 31 now. So this was back in 2016. And throughout the summer, no joke, this was when I was probably the most fit and healthiest in my life. I started to notice these minor back pains. And over the summer, they just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And of course, me being stubborn at 24 years old, because everybody is, I wouldn't go to a doctor. I wouldn't go get myself checked up. And until one night, I was over my now wife's house, but we were just started dating at the time. Her name's Lauren, and I ended up puking up blood. Get rushed to the emergency room. They end up finding that I lost 2/3 of the blood circulating in my body. So I basically, it's like being shot with a gun. So if anybody knows what your hemoglobin should be at, your hemoglobin should be around 5, or 15, which is like your blood count. Mine was under 5, to just give people an example. So what they did was they immediately gave me 6 bags of blood. They rushed me into an emergency surgery that night to figure out what was causing the bleeding, which for them, they thought it was just an ulcer. So I was like, okay, let's go get this ulcer figured out and I'll be on my way home. So the next morning I wake up, I remember eating cereal with my parents and just in the recovery room. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the doctor to come in and just release me. And all of a sudden he walks in and just has this blank stare in his eyes. And right then I knew like something was just not okay. He comes over to me, he sits down, he grabs my hand and he goes, Matt, we have found an 11-centimeter tumor in your small intestine. We know it is cancer. We just don't know what type yet. And we have to rush you from our local hospital over to the main campus of the Cleveland Clinic, like right now. That's when they rushed me over there, did a ton of different tests, and ultimately discovered that I had stage 3C testicular cancer. Now, Justin, I see you have a question potentially here.
Well, I just, something to point out here is that first of all, it's horrible to be diagnosed that way, but there's 2 places on earth to be diagnosed with cancer: the Cleveland Clinic, Mayo, or I guess 3, or Houston. So you were very lucky to be somewhere that not only specializes in cancer, but I mean, that's one of their main things they focus on. So that was very lucky.
I was truly blessed. I will say that in that realm, 100%. And just like you said, those are the 3 big hospitals. If anybody knows the medical field, those are the top 3, no doubt. So basically, let's just go to the mental mindset aspect of all this. So we'll backtrack from when I just got the news.
Well, I'm sorry, I want one more question. Sorry, just because I'm curious, because to have, 11 centimeters is probably about that big, right? It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Were you sore at all down there before? I know you had back pain, but were you like?
So this wasn't in the testicle. This is the crazy part. So I would say over 95% of males who have testicular cancer have a symptom in their testicle, enlarged testicle, lumps, different abnormality. Mine was so weird and rare that they found out that it had originated in the testicle, but the tumor was forming in the small intestine. So you want to know the crazy part? And I really haven't shared this before, but like probably a week or 2 before I was diagnosed, I would note, I was in extreme pain. When I tell you extreme pain, like I was just being so ignorant to the fact that I just need to go to a hospital. And you could ask my wife. She almost broke up with me at that time. We were only dating for 2 months, by the way. And that was a whole journey in itself. But she was getting so frustrated because she was like, go to the doctor and get this thing figured out. And I wouldn't. But I've noticed in my abdominal that there was some type of it almost felt like a lump. And I remember I would go to a chiropractor and he was like, oh, it's just an abdominal strain, you'll be all right. And little what did I know, it wasn't. And what was causing the back pain was actually the tumor rubbing against my nerves in my back, and that's what was causing such massive pain. So that's why it was just so weird, is I never had anything in my testicle to even think like, okay, this could be testicular cancer. But that's what it ended up being. And I just remember when I heard the news, it was just me and my parents at the time, and I just remember looking over at them and just seeing them crying. And for me, I guess this like young male, I felt like at the time, which is not the right thing to do, was holding in my emotions. I felt like if I held in my emotions, I would be strong for them. I'd be strong when I had to share the news to other people. And all it was actually doing was it was putting more stress, putting more baggage onto me, because I couldn't actually release what I was truly feeling and focus on how to heal myself. And I think this is anybody in life going through a mental, emotional struggle in whatever aspect you're dealing with, or even a physical struggle, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're just not happy with what you want to be. I'm not saying you have to share it to the world, but what I am saying is don't be afraid to share it with somebody that you can trust, whether it's a family member or a friend, because being vulnerable is actually a sign of strength than it is a sign of weakness. And for me, now I've really realized that by me sharing my vulnerabilities, not only is it helpful to me, but I'm able to help and inspire other people who are going through similar situations and struggling with their own health journey. So that was the whole process of being diagnosed. As soon as I was diagnosed with stage 3C testicular cancer, immediately I was put onto chemotherapy. And when it comes to cancer, chemo is different for everyone. For me being so young, they put me on extremely potent chemotherapy. It's called BEP. I'm not going to get into the details of it, but what it is I went through about 3 months of it, and it knocks the heck out of you. Like I'm losing my hair within a week. I mean, I'm on the floor. There's days where I can't get up. So how it works is you have 5 rounds. And the unfortunate part is you go through a full week, then you get about a week and a half off. And as soon as you start to feel good on that week and a half off, it's like time to go back to chemotherapy again. And it was just like a vicious cycle for 3 months, just really beating me up throughout that process.
I mean, I know there's radiation. I know there's all these different things you can do for this. Were you given an option in terms of what the best protocol for this was? Or did they just say, look, we're going to start today and this is what you need to do?
Like I was telling you, we had about 30 to 50 different tests that they did to figure out what the cancer was. And then I had one of the top testicular oncologists in the world that was helping me through this. And no, because it was so advanced, I was to the point where if I would have just let it go for another week because of all the blood loss I was having, of course, I don't think I would have been here. But on top of that, to give you perspective, how they track it is through what's called your AFP. Your AFP is a tumor marker that they can track through giving you blood work. And for males, at least, I know for males, your AFP should be under 5. They go in, they do my blood work, and they find out that my AFP tumor marker was over 100,000. It wasn't even on the chart anymore. So
wow.
It was so advanced. It was so advanced, and it spread all over. The only place it didn't, thank goodness, was my brain. But it had spread all over my upper body. And it was just rapidly growing at such a quick pace that they had no time but to, and they've seen hundreds and hundreds and probably thousands of testicular patients throughout this. So they know the protocol and generally what to do. So for me, since it was so advanced, usually they only put you on 4 rounds. But since I was healthy, since I was younger, they're like, we need to put you on 5 and get this thing as low as we can from eliminating the cancer and shrinking that tumor so that when we go and do the surgery, which I'll talk about in a little bit, then we can have an easier time removing that and removing the rest of the cancer in your body.
So did they want to do radiation on top of the chemo? Do like the double whammy?
So no, I never went through radiation. Some can, it just depends. There's also different types of testicular cancer, just like there's different types of other cancers as well. So everyone gets treated slightly different, but they knew what type. I can't go into detail because I don't remember exactly how to pronounce a lot of it and what it was, but all I know is they have a specific protocol for the type of cancer I had. And I didn't go through radiation, but I ended up having a massive surgery at the end of it called an RPL&D surgery. And if you're in stage 3 of testicular cancer, there's a really good chance you're going to unfortunately have to go through this, because that means that you've had a tumor inside of you somewhere in your body that they're going to have to remove and have to remove the rest of the cancer. So that was kind of my protocol, was chemo, surgery, and hopefully done. But unfortunately, the surgery took a way crazy turn for the worse. But if you have any questions before that, happy to answer.
Did you have a port?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a scar, a port, and I'll go into it. But this is a scar from it. So what a port is, so Justin, what a port is the first, this is a good story actually. So the first 4 rounds, what you do when you get your chemotherapy is you either get what's called a port, or you just go naturally where they stick the medicine through your veins. And if you have really good veins, they might try to do that instead of a port. And what chemotherapy does is it destroys your veins. Like it's basically, it hardens them up and makes it really hard to get any blood flow, anything like that. But I was lifting 6 days a week. My veins were popping at the time. They're like, let's just try to give you this without doing a port to start. So for the first 3.5 rounds of chemotherapy, they would find a vein in my arm. And what they have to do is they have to get blood returned before they know that they can give you the chemotherapy, so that they know that they've stuck it in the vein properly. And as the rounds were going, it was harder and harder and harder to find these veins. So I'd get stuck like 2 or 3 times every single time before I could even start my chemotherapy. And it was just like, for me, I don't like needles in general. So I would get like dizzy and I'd get like all worried. And one day, so how it works is you have 6 days of chemotherapy and then, you get your days off. I'm on like my last day of chemotherapy, and I'm actually getting brought in by a wheelchair because I'm so tired. I'm so weak. They go in, they miss 5 times on me. And I'm like this close. I mean, I'm seeing stars. I'm like, I'm in a different planet at this point. And I'm like, guys, you can't do this anymore. And they're like, we agree. So they go and get my oncologist, and he comes in and he goes, Matt, we have to give you what's called a port. Now, Justin, what a port is they do like a small medical procedure where they put a kind of like a tube that goes to a big central vein in your body where it's much more easy for the chemo to go through, and it won't harden that vein up. So what it does is you have this little like thing that they just stick a needle in, and when they stick that needle in, that's where the medicine can go in, or you can get blood drawn from. So it made my life, I'll tell you this, 100 times easier, because the last round and a half I was able to use my port. And then with all the surgeries and everything moving forward for the past year after that, oh my gosh, thank goodness I got this port. So do you kind of get where I'm coming from, Justin, or do you have any questions on it?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. My background is my dad and brother and everyone else in my family except for me seems to be a doctor. So I'm very familiar with, I've never talked to anyone with one. So thank you. That was enlightening.
When I went to get my port, most people, I would say like 95% of them, they go under, they're like, okay, we're going into the surgery. I'm like, but he gave me this option. He's like, hey, you have an option. We can do this while you're awake if you want. And I was like, let's do this. I don't like being put under. I don't think anybody likes being put under. So I was like, fine, let's do it like this. So they numb me up and they're playing music. It was so weird. It was like, and I got to see what it was like being in a surgical room while they were actually doing surgery on me. But yeah, so that's my whole story of the port. So that's all. But
so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I want to back up prior to any of this.
Mm-hmm.
You were a personal trainer before you were even diagnosed.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So did you own your business prior?
No, I started my LLC after all of this. And it took me 2.5 years after going through cancer to even have the courage or the thought process or anything. I mean, it took me 2 to 2.5 years to truly heal myself before I could really give back. And how I have it is a little saying, you must be selfish before you can be selfless. So in order to be selfless for others, you must be selfish for yourself. And the whole premise behind this is if you can't take care of yourself, if you can't deal with the things, and you're not going to be perfect, don't get me wrong, like I'm not perfect by any means, but if you can't take care of yourself and you can't go through the process of learning through the challenges and the setbacks in your life, how are you going to ever be able to impact and inspire and help other people?
Around that point, because I think this is one of those things that I'm hoping that you're seeing this too, but I feel like people are becoming much more cognizant of that fact now. Whatever COVID did to people, I think people are realizing you got to stop being I'm going to say it here on this show, being a dumbass and working 80-hour work weeks. That's insane. When I was young, I probably worked 100-hour work weeks. I mean, I was an idiot. I'm going to say it here. And life isn't about trying to kill yourself. It's trying to maintain and experience things. And so I think it's sad that it has to come to life experiences like this to do it. But I'm hoping that you're seeing in your business now that people are much more aware of the fact that life is 1 short, 2, it's precious, and 3, you get 1 shot at it. So it's time to take advantage of it and do it right and heal properly, listen to your body and learn from it as well. Are you finding this as well, or?
100%. I think your time and your energy is your true currencies in life. And what I mean by that is, who are you spending the time with? Meaning, how are you spending your time? Like you said, are you just going to spend all your time just grind, and then you never get to spend time with the people you love and things that you enjoy? And then your energy, how are you spending your energy? Are you going to spend your energy with people who want to bring you down, who criticize you all day, or being around negativity? Because you are the average of the 5 people you hang around with. I truly believe that. If you're hanging around with people that only want to talk about glory days, only want to go out and get hammered every weekend to release the pain that they're feeling because they hate their 9-to-5 jobs, then that's what you're going to turn out to be. But if you spend your energy with positive people, and it's not like we're always this positive, go-lucky people, spending with people who want to do something bigger with their life and also want to enjoy their life, those are, my opinion, the 2 biggest currencies. I 100% couldn't agree with you more. Now, I also do believe that when you do things that you love, it doesn't feel like you're working as much. So for me, when I'm able to help people and do these things, if I'm working 60 hours that week, a lot of times it will not feel like I'm working 60 hours at all. For me, it'll feel like I'm just doing what I love and doing what I'm enjoying. I will always make sure that I put time for people that are important to me in my life, because this is the problem. A lot of people, this is what they do. They want to do things to help or to take care of the people they love. But the problem is they spend all their time doing that and they never, ever spend time with those people they love. So they put them on the back burner for months and years at a time. And then next thing you know, when it comes around to them finally being able to give back, there's so much resentment from those people because you never spent your time with them. You never gave your energy and your love and your care to them because all you did was just focus on this part and never focus on them. So there has to be a balance in between. And a lot of the times, this is the cool part, is me and Lauren, we can do things together because we've been on this journey together. So if we want to do podcasts together, we want to create our own YouTube videos together, find people you can do these activities together and try to make it fun. Obviously it's easier said than done too, to just be like, I'm going to quit my 9-to-5 job. I still have a 9-to-5 job, trust me, but I'm trying my best to get to the point where I can get out of that and do something that I feel is more where me just being faith-based, where God has me going in my life and whatever you believe in.
Amen. I agree with that.
One point to that, though, that I agree with everything you're saying. I think that most people don't realize that that's a possibility, though. Mm-hmm. Because they do work the 60 hours, and most people, part of what keeps me employed is that they don't like it, right?
Yeah.
That they're trying to find that next level of everything. And so I'm so glad that you found it, especially at your age, because that's really important.
And that concludes today's episode of the Fitness
Manifesto. Hey, guess what, Justin?
What, Jim?
This is only part 1. We have another episode coming after this where you will learn more.
Shut your dang face.
Yes, shut the front door, right? As all the cool kids say.
As the cool kids say. So definitely stay tuned. It's going to be a great bout between Kim and I. And more importantly, who wants to stop this fun train? Because I don't.
Exactly. There's more to come, y'all. Make sure to check back. I know you guys enjoyed it.
And Kim, I want to say thank you to you and to our audience for making this podcast what it is.
Yes, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
And stay tuned for the next episode.